But I think the one thing that I kind of saw in my game was I thought that I played well, but the mistakes that I made, it wasn't just like a minor mistake. It was the critical errors. So it was, the screen interception and the one over the middle to Pat. Those two, if I miss it a different way, like if they're in a different coverage, yeah, it's just an incompletion. But I mean, it was very evident after watching the tape how much that swung momentum, and how much it kind of, made us beat ourselves. So, and that's what I figured. And so that's what, it's on me. It's something I'm going to grow off of. But I thought that overall we moved the ball pretty well the whole game. But turnovers is a very critical point that we stress all the time. The ball is the program. So, and it came back to bite us.
Ben Jones?
Sean, this weekend is obviously emotional. Next week, there's the election. There's a lot packed into a little span of time. How do you kind of keep, everyone's head on straight when there's just so much happening and it's all happening all at once?
I think that's kind of been like the whole year. So like if you made it to this point, you're kind of battle tested. So I'm not too worried about, everything going on. I think guys have done a good job of, with the election, the social injustice that we've dealt with, the season being canceled, reinstated, COVID. I mean, if you made it to this point, I think you'll be all right with dealing with everything.
Good. Parth next.
Hey, Sean, what's going on? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. After the Indiana game, you kind of mentioned several times about y'all shooting yourselves in the foot, essentially coming out and doing that. What is it going to take against Ohio State to, come out not flat and essentially not get in your own way?
I wouldn't say that we came out flat. I mean, we scored on the first drive. So that's definitely I wouldn't call flat. But at the same time, I think that the turnovers is the biggest thing. Like, I mean, if you just go back and look, if the first interception that I threw, they got 3 points on the board from that. The second one, they were at the 4-yard line, starting field position at the 4-yard line, and they score. And then the fumble at the goal line, we're on the 4, and then we fumble. So, I mean, you're telling me we can't take 2, 3, probably all 3 of those turnovers off the board in that game? I mean, that's the thing. We're gonna control the ball. We're gonna make sure that we're careful with the ball, but we're still taking our shots. We're taking what we want. I'm not gonna be tentative, but at the same time, I'm just gonna be a little bit more careful, more accurate, and I think that we'll like the outcome.
Greg Pickle?
Hi, Sean. How are you? Good morning, and thanks for your time.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Hey, Coach Franklin said yesterday that I believe the quote was, "We have to create a little bit more explosive plays." Is the goal with Coach Soraka the same as it was with Coach Ronnie in terms of 16% of the snaps being explosive plays? That's the goal. And either way, how do you go about creating more of those this week?
Yeah, that's the aiming point. And I think that it's just working a little bit harder on making sure that when we have our shots, we take them. Sorry, and make sure that we're accurate with it. We got to attack the ball when it's in the air. That also comes to the run game. For us, explosive plays, 15 yards passing or more, or 12 yards rushing or more. So when you have a hole, you got to hit it. You can't be dancing. You gotta make sure that you're explosive, and that's a big time game changer. We talk about ways to change the game. I've already talked about one thing, the ball, and then being explosive and execute. That's another huge critical factor. So I think that we just need to continue to get better in that area.
Howie Donahue.
Sean, good morning, and thanks for the time. You had your first opportunity to evaluate your own game film with Kirk Shiraka after the first game together. How did that session go on Sunday? And what did you kind of learn more about Kirk Shiraka when he broke out the fine-tooth comb for your own game film?
Yeah, I think that Coach does a great job of not being overly critical. Every person is human. We're bound to make mistakes, but there's certain mistakes. I think that the physical mistakes aren't as present with him. It's more the mental. It's the what did you see here? Make sure that you're seeing, because that's something you can control. You can control what you see. I'm bound to miss another pass this year. Our running back's bound to miss a hole, miss a cut. A guy might not catch a ball. A lineman might not make a block, but those are physical mistakes that we can correct. It's the mental mistakes where could you have prepared more for that situation? That's where Coach Shiraka is so good at making sure that going into the game, you're not going to be perfect, but at the same time, if you can have your head on straight and make sure that you're looking where you need to, having your eyes where you need to put yourself in the best situation to be successful. I think that that's one thing that I'm learning every time that I get to talk to him.
Bias Wilborn.
Hey, Sean, thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate the time. All right. And then from there, man, now that Devin's going to be your feature back, as well as Keziah getting time, how do you work with those guys, particularly when it comes to pass pro, things of that nature, really get them up to speed? Because they've never been feature guys in a game, particularly of this magnitude.
Yeah, I don't think Devin's really one that I worry about. Not that I really worry about any of them, but Devin has been right there. Could be a starter this whole time. We just are so deep at running back. But he's gotten reps. He's proven to the whole team that he can take on this load. So I'm very confident in Devin. And then the two young guys, they just got into the situation. I think that they've both been working extremely hard. But they just got to get caught up a little bit more mentally, and they're young. They haven't taken reps like that. They haven't taken college reps in really practice, much less in a game like this. So it's just bringing them along, making sure that I'm in their ear constantly, pushing them to be the best that they can be, and the rest will take care of itself.
Hey, Sean. Pat and Jahan, almost as expected, had the majority of the receptions on Saturday. The rest of your receiving room, your targets, however you want to call it, how are those guys progressing? Can they progress quickly enough? What's your read on the rest of the guys you're throwing to?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I have confidence in all of them really now. Pat obviously is an All-American for a reason. He's a very talented tight end. Jahan is another guy who has experience. It's easier to get him the ball like early, just because he knows what a game's like. He's not feeling it out really. I think Parker Washington did some really good things in the game. I think that he created space. He had a good touchdown in the end in the overtime, and then he also had a great catch on the 10 on the left side. So and then Keandre Lambert, he got his feet wet. Daniel George is somebody who I expect to keep making catches. And then Cam Sullivan Brown wasn't available last game, but I'm very excited to see what he's going to be able to do. So we got a lot of talent, I think. Younger, but at the same time, I'm very confident in that group.
Mark Brennan.
What can you tell us about the Ohio State defense and maybe the challenges that it brings? And is it difficult to prepare for a team when you only have tape of one game kind of from this season?
We didn't have any tape from this season for Indiana, and, we prepare a very similar way. So, we know that they're going to probably throw out something new. But, Ohio State, they're a one-high team, mixing a little bit too high this year. They like to man you up. They like to zone you off in three. They have a bunch of returning starters. Their linebacker core, Pete Werner, Tuff Borland, Browning, are all solid guys. Sean Wade at corner returning was big for them. Jonathan Cooper, their leader on the defensive line, is very solid. So they have a lot of talent all over the place. But they also had to replace some guys. I know that. We're just getting ready for a bunch of looks. I think that, they're extremely talented and, a very well-coached program. We're just going to, have to make sure that we're doing our three things. We're taking care of the ball, we're executing, and we're having a great mentality.
Hey, Sean, was it weird at all playing in front of just a couple hundred fans at Indiana? And do you think it's a significant difference this weekend coming at you guys with that many in Beaver Stadium?
I don't think, Coach Franklin did a pretty good job of, getting us prepared for it. So when and the same thing goes where once you're in the game, like, you really don't notice everything else around you. You're just so focused on what you got to do on the field. So the fans kind of, other than maybe the sound itself, it doesn't really change the game. Like, once you're actually in it. Obviously, we'd love to have the full whiteout experience, but it's not going to happen. So I'm not going to, harp on it that much. I'm happy that, the fans will be able to see us play. And, imagine that they were there and 110K strong. I think that it's definitely one of, if not the greatest show in college football. And it's a bummer that it's going to be missed this year, but at the same time, we still are playing in it. So I'm very excited. I'm juiced up about the game. I'm excited to get out there with my guys and put on a show.
Ellen Hayes.
Hey, Sean, thanks for your time this morning. So I believe the Big Ten next Tuesday, Election Day, is a mandated day off for all football teams in the conference. Was wondering if you guys on the football team plan to do any, have maybe like a team vote, go together as a team to vote, or had any action items planned for the day?
I know that some guys have voted early, so I don't know what everybody's plan is. And I know that we talk about 1-0. Like, I'm really just thinking about this week, and I know how huge the election is. It's a very, very important day. Everybody needs to get out, exercise their right to vote. It's very important. But at the same time, I really, I haven't thought about next week's plan. But I'm sure, after the game, we'll start to figure some things out Sunday if we want to do anything as a group. But yeah, just kind of more focused on this week. Trying to focus on what we can control right now, and that's getting better in this Wednesday's practice.
Pat Principe.
Yep, I'm here. How are you, Sean?
Good, how are you?
Good. Hey, each of these last 4 years, Penn State has given Ohio State probably its toughest test. How much of that is worth going forward, the knowing that you can play with them you head into Saturday night?
What was the question? Sorry, I didn't really understand it.
Penn State has given Ohio State probably its 4 toughest games each of the last 4 years. How much of that is worth going forward for you guys, the knowing that you can play with them kind of factor going into Saturday night?
I think that we can play with any team across the country. I mean, it's not something that really goes through my mind. Like, oh, we can hang with this team. Like, I'm not here to hang with Ohio State. I'm here to beat Ohio State. I wouldn't have came here if I didn't have that mentality. So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much my answer to the question.
I think we got time for one more. Evan Patrick.
Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Good.
What is Pat Frymuth like as a leader on this team? And then specifically, what were some of the things he had to say to the team after Saturday's loss?
Pat's become more and more of a vocal guy. He's definitely he's a character, off the field, but at the same time, he's an extremely hard worker that everybody respects. But I think that Saturday there wasn't much to be said in the locker room specifically. We were all very pissed off about how he played. Because we knew we could have played better. But at the same time, Coach Franklin always does a good job of making sure that we're together. We're a family through wins, losses, whatever it is. So, there wasn't much to be said after the game. Anything that's said, it's not going to help anything. We lost, and that's just the fact of the matter. So I'm not going to, harp on it. But at the same time, coming in Sunday, making sure that everybody's, ready to go. It's a new week. The sun rose again, so you can't dwell on everything at the same time. Going back to your question, Pat's a great example of somebody who came in Sunday ready to work, getting guys into a good mood, getting ready for this week. So.